We will begin. So thanks for being here today. I think this is probably going to be a refresher for most of you that are here, but you never know if you pick up something new. So I'm going to start off talking about the Grade Center, and I'd like to have a very quick discussion. You can either grab the mic, or if you want to put something in the chat, you can. But I want to know if you have used Grade Center before.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody here has. I don't think there's anybody new.
Someone in the chat did not.
Someone
I
in the
did
chat.
not.
Let's see, who was that?
Me, Annie Laurie.
Annie Laurie, you did not, but okay.
I went through training, so
Yes, you did go through training. But okay, so yes, feel free to ask questions as we go along as well. So thanks for being honest and saying you haven't used Grade Center. So my next question is, how do you want to use Grade Center? And for those that have used it, go ahead and say how you have used Grade Center, or why you have used Grade Center, because I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of it, and we'll see if your benefits match what I have. So Annie Laurie, I'm going to call on you. How do you want to use the Grade Center?
Well, in the beginning of each semester, I share with them, the students, that they should know at any moment in time what their grade is. And I'm hoping that'll, take care of that kind of pesky question. And at the same time, that I know that a lot of them like the immediacy factor of how they did in their course, in their test or quiz. And that way it gets posted right away, at least as soon as I can post it. And that's the end of discussion.
Very good. You'll see, those were my thoughts exactly. So what specific things you want to learn about today? Just shout them out there or put them in the chat. I want to make sure I cover what you need to know, and everything is not an acceptable answer. So pick out something specific.
I'm most interested in waiting.
Okay, we're really not going to get through waiting today. That's really an advanced Grade Center, but we'll talk a little bit about the mechanics of it today. Okay. And then we'll do a second session that just deals with waiting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so waiting. What else? Anyone else?
I have something pretty specific. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I used it for the first time last semester, and I tried to use it fully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just tried to do everything. Okay. So, well, I'll just be blunt about this. For the first time in many years, some students complained about me to my dean. Oh. And it had to do with, it was related to the Grade Center. And so she really wants me to get on top of it. I mean, she's being very nice about it, but so my main problem was, I think with the daily grade. So like I had said up front in my policy statement syllabus that the daily work, we'll just say I said that it was worth 10%. But then I want some flexibility. You know how I am, Sandy. I don't want to have to know at the beginning of the semester exactly how many daily things I'm going to give, because I like to be flexible to the needs of the students and, that kind of thing. I don't like to know, okay, I'm going to give them 14 homeworks or whatever. I just want more flexibility than that. But when I went about setting up all this daily stuff, I would just kind of arbitrarily award things like 5 points or 10 points or whatever, not keeping in mind that, okay, ultimately this whole daily work thing has got to be worth 10%. And so then I screwed all that up. Somehow it got all screwed up. And then also in one case, I had said in my syllabus that a test was going to be worth twice what a previous test had been. So then I should have given it like 200 points. Well, when I was setting up the test, I totally forgot about that. And I just kind of routinely, I just hit 100 points. So it turned out I didn't give that test as much weight as it was supposed to have. So I need that
Mhm.
kind of help. You get my
Okay.
drift. I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly what I'm asking for, but that's kind of my problem as I see it right now.
Right. Well, the grade book is only as good as you control it. So if you don't put the grades in, then the students aren't going to see it. But when you do put grades in, and they are accustomed to getting their grades and seeing their grades from their point of view, then they'll be right on top of you all the time because they want their grades immediately. And that's what I think, Annie Laurie, what you said. Once you grade a test or an assignment, whether it's something that's automatically graded in Blackboard or whether you manually put the grade in, students just, they're there just looking for that grade and also the feedback. So we'll cover that as we go into the next couple of slides. So anyone else? Anyone else who wants something specific? So just let me know if there is anything specific that you'd like me to cover, but hopefully I'll cover what your needs are. So with that in mind, these are some of the topics that I wanted to cover. We're going to talk in a few minutes about the benefits. Some of you have already mentioned that already. I'll show you how to add columns to the Grade Center, how to modify, delete, or rearrange Grade Center items, and why that's important to you, how to enter your grades in the Grade Center, how I'll talk a little bit about inline grading. If you don't know what that is, anyone who um, assigns essays or papers or something like that can grade automatically in Blackboard. So you don't have to have a paper copy and write all over the paper copy because your students are not going to see that. So Blackboard has really made it very nice. If you're used to using Word and using the grading or actually commenting in Word, you can do exactly the same thing in the Grade Center. Modify grades. That's important because you may need to change a grade. Maybe you made a mistake and you want to, you marked a question wrong that was correct. You can go in and modify the grades. Adding comments, feedback, and notes, that's important. And that will help you, Doll. If you gave that 5 points for a daily assignment, you can give feedback and show the student, why you're giving that 5 points or why you only gave 4 points and leave some feedback. Maybe you want them to work on their punctuation in an essay or in something they submitted. So you can do all of that and then they can see it in the Grade Center. You can create reports from the Grade Center. I use this all the time, regardless of whether you're teaching online or whether you're teaching, face to face. You could do a report for one student or the entire class and have that report handy so that when you meet with your student, you can actually tell them, or see where they didn't do well or, what grades were not good. Okay, so that's really important when students come to you or when you're doing your surveys, your mid-semester survey, and so on. I do that all the time because I want to be able to say specifically or write in Starfish, you know what, your daily work was good, but your test scores were not. So it's easy to just go down the list and do a report. You can download your grades. I don't know if you want to do that, but you can download your entire Grade Center and work on it offline and then load it back up. We'll probably be doing more on that topic when we do some tips for the Grade Center. And then weighting grades. Weighting grades is a whole class in itself. So we'll just cover and go over that very quickly today, but we'll dwell more into that in another session. So how does that sound? Is there anything else here that you might want to know about that was not listed here that I might want to add? I think that kind of covers a lot. And hopefully we will get them covered as we go. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my next slide. I want you to understand why we're doing this. This is important for you, especially if you have not used the Grade Center or if you want to, get more accustomed to using it and why it's so important. So for you, there are just as many, in fact, I think there are more benefits for you as an instructor than there are for students. Students have fewer, at least that's what I came up with, but I'm happy to add more. So let's look at these. For you as an instructor, it allows you, by using the Grade Center, to record all of your student data. Blackboard automatically calculates grades for you, and you can easily monitor student progress, okay, just by looking at their grades. You want to see who was missing a grade. I also color code my grades, which I find really easy for me. I have a color coding system. I'd be happy to show you that if you'd like to. Maybe you just want to see the grades that are below 60% or 70%. And that you can quickly just go down the list or go across your grade center and see which students have a lot of low grades. You can spot that very quickly if you color code. So I'd be happy to show you that.
Sandy, I have a question.
Yeah.
Or is there a capability within Blackboard to develop charts? And here's the reason. After every, I give, for instance, 3 major tests in business communications, and I had 3 sections of that specific class. So what I do is to see how they're performing, not only by themselves, but in comparison to their peers in the class. And the other 2 sections is I do charts. I do like a vertical chart, and then in increments of, say, 5%, starting like maybe around 60 with the scale, that they can see how the class did in that test and how they did, but their names are not on there or anything. Is it, are you capable?
Well, you can pull stats. You can, you can find statistics in the Grade Center, which is probably what you're doing. Are you making those charts on your own, taking everybody's?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You can pull stats from the Grade Center.
Okay.
Say on a quiz or a test or
Yeah.
an average, whatever, and you can see how the entire class did on a particular test.
Right.
And then you could, of course, do that for 3 sections and compare it. Yep.
Yeah. And I share it, excuse me. I share it with them that they can see how they're doing.
Okay.
Am I going to be able to do that?
Well, you'd have to make that. And I mean, you're not going to show it in the Grade Center. You'd
No.
have to make your own chart. Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Did someone else join? Joe, I think Rick did.
Robert.
Is there
There he is.
anything, I don't know when you just came in, but I'm talking about the benefits right now of Grade Center. And if there's any particular item or topic that you would like to learn today. I want to be sure that I cover it all.
Rick posted in the chat that, he just wants to get off on the right foot. So
Okay.
he's just here and taking it all in, I think, unless Rick
Okay.
something else.
Okay. Well, feel free to, to ask questions as we go along. Very good. Okay, so Blackboard, another benefit is Blackboard allows grades to be entered directly into the cells or uploaded from an Excel spreadsheet. Some instructors like to keep their own spreadsheet and then upload their grades. Blackboard Grade Center is built on an Excel spreadsheet format, so to speak. So you can absolutely do that. Blackboard records the last time each student accessed the course. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but when you go to the Grade Center, there is a column there that says last access. And that's very helpful. That is a column that I use, I use daily. So what I like to do, and of course you don't have to do this, but I'm just kind of a stickler about grades and keeping my grade center up to date. So I check every morning. I go into my grade center to, let's just say an assignment was due yesterday. I go into my grade center and I quickly look at that assignment to see who has not submitted it. I want to know right away who has not submitted it. Also, in an online course or in a blended course, your assignments are not due every day as they might be in a face-to-face class, but at the end of the week or every couple of days, you want to check and see who did not even access the course. So that last access is important because especially in the beginning of the semester, because by the end of that second week, you're going to have to submit your non-attending report. And that's the best way that you can determine whether or not somebody's been in your class. So last access is very, very important for that reason. Okay, moving on, Blackboard can provide rubrics that can be used to facilitate the scoring of assignments. You can add a rubric if you would like to and use that rubric to grade with. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we go into a course. In Blackboard, you can select which grades are displayed to students because there's a hide and not hide and unhide, I should say, way to show grade columns. So some instructors do not like students to see their grades until everybody has, say, completed a test. That's entirely controlled by you. So you have that capability. You can supply feedback to students, very important again, and I'll show you how to do that. You can create weighted columns and exclude certain assessments from final score calculations. So sometimes you may just have a practice assignment. You may want students to see, how they've done. You may not want to include that in the final grade score calculation. And again, that is controlled by you. So, for example, I have a practice final exam. I let students complete the practice exam. It is not included in the grade center calculations, but I do want them to see whether or not they, have chosen the right answers for the questions. So again, that's all in your control, and that is a great benefit to you. When you analyze questions in a test, you might want to change a question if you see that everybody was not able to get the right answer, or you may want to go over something again so that students, it may be unclear. And finally, you can create grade columns for any graded activities that you want to record. So going back to what Dahl asked, you can have a daily assignment that you want to grade. Or maybe you just want to give a check mark for and see that they've completed it and not included in the grade center calculations. So all of that is a benefit to you. and you know, you control all of that. So is there a question?
I have a quick question. So I was wondering, why doesn't Blackboard give a 0 once the deadline has passed? That was
Well,
kind of a, good.
it can if you have a due date set in there, and if you know, students pass that deadline and have not completed it, it would give a 0. So it depends on what, you know, what kind of assignment you have.
Well, I mean, I did that a lot in my college success course, and I didn't realize for quite a while that it was just giving a hyphen, a kind of dash looking thing, exempt, I think it was called, instead of a 0.
So that was an assignment, more than likely, that you were adding the grades to manually, but especially if you are doing something with a third party and they have not completed it, it will show a 0. So we'll look at some of those and see why that's happened to you. If you're manually grading or putting columns in and you're manually adding those grades in, you're going to have to put the grade in yourself. And if you see that hyphen, you need to go in and add the 0 to it. Okay, Blackboard can't automatically grade some items. Okay.
Okay.
And that may be, you know, it could have been a verbal, you know, a written test or something. Okay, so let's, yeah, we'll look at all of that as we go along. All right, so those are benefits for instructors. Can you find any other, or is there any other benefit that you see that was not listed here? Any other benefits that you think should be added here? There's a lot here, so if so, we'll just add them to the list as we go further down the line. Okay, so now let's talk about the student side. And from the student side, and I think you all have mentioned this, the Grade Center provides a central place for students to view their grades. I think you all know that. Their grades look a little bit different from the way you have your grade center set up, but what they see is, you know, the assignment, how much the assignment was worth, the score that they received, any feedback that you give them. And another important thing to remember is they can only see their grades. Okay. They can view instructor feedback. They can see their grade progression. So let's just say you have a quiz for every chapter and you have 10 chapters. You'll see students will see quiz 1, they'll see their grade. They'll see quiz 2 and, you know, find their grade, quiz 3, and they'll be able to see, you know, how they've done on all their quizzes. You know, are they improving on their quizzes? Maybe they need to go back and do more studying. But they'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see that also in your grade center, but students, you know, like to see that progression.
Sandy,
And-
can they only, I'm
Yes.
sorry, excuse me, can they only see the completed work?
Yes, anything
Okay.
that's been graded. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Mhm. Unless you gave a complete or incomplete.
Now, there were 3 students who complained that they wanted a way to see everything that would be due for the whole semester on their grade center. And
Well, they only see well, when you add things to your grade book with due dates,
okay,
they will see that there is an assignment, and they'll also look at that to-do page, an upcoming assignment, but they won't actually see their grade until you
right.
enter the grade.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Good question. And you know, sometimes this will awaken students to adjust their approach to learning to improve their performance. So, if they're seeing, oh, I get really good grades on my classwork, I'm getting good grades on my discussions, I'm doing poorly on my tests. Well, that may be a hint for them to, change what they're doing regarding their tests. Maybe they're not studying um, as well as they should be. Okay, so I am going to stop there, and I'm going to go into a Blackboard course. Actually, I will go into hopefully I will find my old course in my staging server. For any of you that were with us during staging, you might remember that we had a staging course, and that's where I'm going to take you now. So let me see. I'm not seeing it. Give me a minute. And let me bring up my staging. There aren't many students in this staging course, so we'll just have to pretend that there are many students, and let me know if you can see this.
I can see it.
Good. Okay, so again, students, let me just briefly go over this. Students have a tab in their course called My Grades. You do not have that. Okay, students can only see their grades. You're not going to see My Grades. Students see My Grades. You're going to work through your full grade center. So let's go over to Grade Center. Let me see if I do have any. I do have a few assignments in there. And before I start, is everybody clear on how the grades get put into the Grade Center? Do you know where they come from? Any question about how grades get put into Grade Center? There are two different ways that grades get put into Grade Center. Go ahead, Doll.
They come from the assignments, right?
They come from your learning content. Let me go back there to learning content. Whenever you put something into your learning content, and you'll see we have some items here. Whenever you put anything into your learning content and give it grades, it will appear in your Grade Center. Okay. If you create a test, if you have an assessment, you add that test and the test has grades, it will show up in your Grade Center with the number of points that were available for that test. So let me go back here again, and you'll see that we do have some assignments that are in here, silly assignments. I think these were discussion boards and essays and things like that. They will show up in the Grade Center. Okay. One thing I want you to remember is when you hover on top of the assignment, I hope you can see right now, this essay, if you look up above the bar, this Grade Center bar, you'll see that this assignment was worth 100 points. It's in the essay category. And most important for you is to know how many points you'd want to have in this for this assignment. Okay. Sometimes you forget, especially if you're creating a column, you forget how many points you might want to give that assignment. So it's easier to grade if you have, know how many points you want to give. In answer to your question here, Doll, current event, you'll see there are hyphens there. That means it was not graded. It was an assignment. Maybe the points were, or it was not graded directly in Blackboard. It's here now. So you would be able to go in here and grade that assignment and give it give it some points. Okay, this test over here, this test 2, again, is worth 20 points. It looks to me like it was overridden. Do you see the little orange tick? If it was graded by Blackboard, the grade would automatically be there. Since it was overridden, I'm going to guess that we went in there and changed the points because it was an overridden grade. So if the student received, it was worth 20 and the student received 15 points, you'd be able to go in there and override the grade and change it to 20. Let me see if there is any feedback in here, quick comments. It doesn't appear that there is, but this is where you would go in and give feedback to the learner. Okay, in this case, I'm just going to say, I adjusted your grade, or you earned more points. And the student, that's what the student, whoops, that's what the student will see when they go into look at their, when they look at their feedback in their My Grades. And something else that's here is grading notes. The grading notes are for you. So maybe I've been following this student throughout the semester, and I want to give myself, I want to remind myself that, actually, this is Joe. I want to say that it's much improved. I want to see that he's showing improvement. I see that. The student only sees the feedback to learner and submit. So when that student goes into My Grades, they're going to see their grade, they're going to see the feedback that you gave them. And when you come into that particular area and want to look at the comments again, you're going to see that, oh, that they're really improving what they have done. Okay, so let me go here and show you, right as it stands right now, this assignment or this test is available to students. So they will be able to see that. But if I don't want them to see that, I can come here and I can actually hide or set hide from students so they're not going to see it. Okay, when you see the red line through that, you'll know that students are not seeing that grade. Okay, let me see, Annie Laurie, your question, and this may help you. You may want to look at the item analysis for this, or the attempts just shows how many students have really attempted and have completed that assignment. But if you go to item analysis, let's see, I don't think there's anything here. You could run an analysis on this particular assignment. There was nothing submitted, so it's not going to work for me. But when you have all your students at, the end of at the due date or after the due date, you might want to run that item analysis, and that's where you're going to see how many students scored this or that, and that you may be able to pull that information to make your chart.
Okay,
Okay, so you don't
check
have
it
to
out.
go in and go one by one
Right.
to pull that. Blackboard does a nice job with that. Actually, I didn't want to do that. And it would pull the different tests and assignments that you have, and you can do it one by one and pull that information. You can also go to the Help Center and just do a search for item analysis. I guess that is what you would want to look at. Download results is another item that would help you.
Okay.
So that'll save you time from going and finding every single grade, and then you can make your nice little charts and view the statistics. Okay. What other what other things would you like to see right here? Again, I don't have the availability. Okay, here's the last access. That's what I wanted you to see. And of course, this is not accurate because we used this course back in the summer, but here is your last access. Very important. Um, I could remove my student ID, um, my student ID column before I would remove the last access column, because I always want to see when that student last accessed their course. Very important, especially in the first 2 weeks.
So that just means they were in there at some point. It doesn't mean that they completed anything. They could
No,
have
it just means they accessed the course. You still want to see, so within the first 2 weeks, let's just say you have 1 or 2 assignments that need to be completed by, let's just say February 1st. Maybe that's when we'll have to do our attendance. Okay, if we're starting class on January 25th, actually by February 8th would bring us to 2 weeks. And usually on that Friday before, we're going to start getting emails saying that the attendance is due for that class. So if you have assignments that students have not completed, you're coming across here and you're seeing the first 2 assignments have not been completed by this student, you would want to look at that last access and, maybe the student never accessed the class. Okay, so they did not even access the class. So of course they're not going to have any assignments completed. So that should, trigger a thought to you that, oh, okay, I'm probably going to have non-attendance, or reach out to that student to see if they're still available in your class. So, you want to see that they have access to class, and, completing an assignment is separate, because some students, and I will tell you, they know that they will get a non-attendance if they have not accessed in the first 2 weeks. They can go in, as long as they go into that class, it will show that they have accessed it. So they don't want to be dropped from that class. So then you need to get on them about why didn't they do their assignment. But they are pretty sly and know that they have to access the class in order not to get that NA attendance, because that will affect their federal money.
Yeah, I ran into that problem. And also
Yeah.
I had some students even do that kind of thing later in the semester,
Yep.
like they wouldn't do any work, and I was emailing people and everything, but they would touch the class. And so I was like, oh, I can't, what are we going to do here? So
Yeah, they kind of know that they'll get dropped from the class if they don't access the class, or some of them access the class and they have no idea what to do. So in that first week, in our first week, because we're starting on the 25th, by the end of that first week, if you see that students have not even accessed the class, you should be sending out some emails saying, is there an issue? Do you not, don't know how to access your class, etc. Okay.
thanks. Mhm.
So very quickly, because I know this is one of the things that we talked about, as far as working offline. If if you know that you want to work on your students' grades, and you know that maybe you're not going to have internet access, or you're somewhere where you just want to work on a laptop and not have the internet, you can download your gradebook. Okay, you can download it. It comes down to you as, I believe, a zip file, or it'll ask you where you want to download it to. You probably want to download it to your computer and submit. Or if there's some other place you'd like to download it to, you can do that. And after that, when you work on it, you can go back when you're finished working on it, and then upload that file. Okay, it will be in a zip format. Just upload it and your grades will come back. I know that some instructors like to keep an Excel spreadsheet with their grades, even aside from Blackboard. You can do that and then compare your Excel spreadsheet with your downloaded spreadsheet from Blackboard, or add a column to your Blackboard here. And once you upload it, you'll see that it gets uploaded into Grade Center. Okay. I'm sometimes let me just give you one other example on, I don't know, Annie Laurie, you might do this, but maybe you want to download that grades, the entire Grade Center, and then take all of your grades. Let's just say it's quiz. You want to add all your quizzes together and make just one column of quizzes. You can do that, create your quiz column, and then upload that into Blackboard. You can also find averages, but that's pretty advanced if you know how to, you want to create an average column. You can do that and compare it to your own Grade Center. There's just so much you want to do, and we can work independently if you run into any of those issues. Again, if you go to the Help Center for Blackboard down here, click on Help, go to the Blackboard Help Center and type in Grade Center, and you'll find everything you ever wanted to know about Grade Center and doing all of these things. So there's a lot of tips. Okay, how am I for time? I probably have 15 minutes at least. Very quickly, let me show you creating a grade column, because let's be realistic. Not everything that you have in your learning content would you need a column for. You may want to create a column, and I'm going to do that right now to show you how to do that. So if it isn't a test with grades, which will automatically get added to the Grade Center, if it isn't a third party, Annie Laurie, do you use McGraw-Hill or anything?
I use Cengage.
Okay. Yeah, so that will automatically, if you have it paired, you're going to have your grades come over from Cengage, I believe, if they're integrated, or if you go and create your own, grade columns. You might want to create a column in Grade
Okay.
Center. Okay. Francine, I don't think you use any third-party materials, but
No,
no. So you might want to do you create your own columns in Grade Center?
yeah.
Okay, so let's just create a column in Grade Center. Let me show you how that will work. I'm just going to call it a test column for now. Whoops. A test column, because you're going to create something for your Grade Center. It could be anything you want to call it. You can call it participation. You could call it project. Assignment. You can call it anything you want. You can put in a description for it if you like, and then you need to decide how you're going to grade it. Are you going to give it a score? Do you just want to give it a complete or incomplete? So let me stop and ask you about that. Francine, I'm going to call on you, since you may want to create a column. Are you going to give it a grade? Are you going to give it a letter grade, a complete or
I usually
incomplete?
do a score.
A score. Okay. And what might your score be?
Well, it's usually 0 to 100.
Okay. Let's give it 100. Okay. That's good. So you're going to create a column, whatever that might be. It's just I'm calling it a test for now. And again, I mentioned you could add a rubric to it. If you need help with adding rubrics, first you need to create your rubric. Does anybody here have a rubric they want to use to grade with? I don't think you do right now, but if you would like to create a rubric and then use it for grading, you can do that, but I'm just going to pass over that for now. And we're going to say that this test column, actually, Francine, if you don't mind, give me a name of something you might want to grade on.
We do I'm trying to pull, just do like class participation.
Okay, we can do class participation. And again, you can give class, I'm going to make this even specific. I'm going to say
I usually do
class
like,
2.
yeah, I do day 1, day 2,
Oh,
day 3. Yep.
okay. I'm just going to say class 2. You can call it anything you want. Doll, you mentioned that you also have something that might be a daily assignment. You can do the same thing. Okay. You have to label it so that students know what they're getting graded on.
Right. So
Okay.
that next block, grade center name, we can just ignore that.
Yeah, you can put it either way, either in
Oh, okay.
in here or whatever. Okay. You might want to give a description of it. You might call it a participation grade for that. I don't know. I'm just putting that in there. You don't have to. And again, we're going to grade on a score. Even though you give a score, you may want to see a percentage. That's entirely up to you. You may want to see a letter, but students are going to see that very first primary display. So let's just leave it at score and we'll move on from there. If you wanted to put all of those grades in a particular category, I'm going to stop here because that's something that's very important for weighting grades. We're not talking about weighting grades right now. I'm just going to put it right here in a category called assignment because I want to. You don't have to do that. You could leave it as no category, but it will help you later on if you're trying to gather up grades. So that's entirely up to you. Let's put in a due date. I'm going to make my due date January 29th at end of day. And again, this is going to show up on the course homepage for students because they're going to see that they have something due on that day. Okay. And here's another thing that's important. Remember, we talked about having grades included in grade center calculations or not. Everything, well, unless you change it, the default is to have grade center calculations included in your entire score. So I'm going to leave that the way it is. If it was something that was practice, I told you before, I have a practice quiz, practice exam actually, that I want my students to do. I want them to see their assignment, but I'm their grade, but I don't want that included in grade center calculations. So I would change that to no. So for right now, just leave the defaults and click on submit. Okay, so I just created that category. It is going to show up as the last category in my grade center. Okay, I have to scoot all the way over. And now you can see that that class participation for grade 2 is the very last item in my grade center. I'm going to show you how you can move it around. Okay, and if I'm coming down the list, because it's not going to be automatically graded, I added that column, so I'm going to go in and add my own grades and give my feedback. How many points is it worth? I may have forgotten if I don't always grade on 100. If I forgot, you're going to hover on the name and you can look right up above that, that menu bar, and I'm going to see that the possible points is worth 100. Okay, are you with me? Got it? And so here is where I can go in and, all right, Joe did a great job. I'm going to give him 100 points. Say okay. I also did a good thing. and I'm going to grade. But I want to give a little bit of feedback. So I'm going to come here to Joe's area. I'm going to leave a comment. I want Joe to see that comment. And I'm going to say, good job for the first class. Actually, good start. I want him to know that this is a good start for his first class. Okay, I'm not going to leave myself any grading notes. I'm just going to submit. Okay, so when Joe comes into this class and he clicks on my grades, he's going to see that on this class participation class 2 assignment, he got 100 points, and he's going to see the comment that I left for him. Okay, does that make sense? So,
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question?
sure.
How does he know whether there are comments or not? Or
Okay.
does he just have to click on that caret?
No, great. He doesn't click on this.
Oh.
He's going to, I don't know, Joe, is this your student account? I wonder if you can go in and show it.
I'll tell you what, Sandy, why don't you do this? Notice that under test 1, there's a score for you.
Yes, there is. And I
Comment
can,
in there and then go to student preview.
yep. Okay. Quick comment. All right, let's see. Test 1. Hey, I want to give a quick comment. I'm going to say, what happened?
What the heck happened to you, girl?
What happened to you? I guess you didn't study. Okay, so I'm going to go in. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to go into student preview. And again, as a student, I'm going to be able to go into my grades. I'm going to see my grades as a student, not everybody's, just mine. And where is that test 1? It should be down the list, right? Test 1. Nope, I don't think that was it. It's not showing me. You'll get a big blue blurb. You know, the call out. I don't know why it's not showing up. Maybe I didn't.
Click on the grade.
Maybe I didn't. The grade didn't even show up. Maybe I didn't hit enter.
Maybe you're in as an administrator, so it still isn't treating you.
No, I'm in as a student preview mode.
I know, but well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are there any others there, Sandy?
No.
Yeah, I don't see any others either.
Okay. Well, what students say, and so this is a good time to just pause, and I think that was your question, Marilyn, too. You're going to see that all these assignments are in the course. And as you can see, they're all upcoming because, you know, the dates have passed and so on. This is just for show. But if it was past due, you would see that here. You will see how many points that assignment is worth. And when right next to it, you'll see the student, I should say, will see their grade and the blue blurb, the call out. And when they click on it, they get to see the call out. Actually, I think I gave 100 points and that was only worth 2. So maybe that wasn't the correct. I think it was the correct assignment though.
Can't you send like a reminder
Yes.
through Blackboard as well, like automatically from
Yes.
the
I'm going to show you that.
category? Okay.
Good question, because that was one of the tips that I was going to save for whenever we do, you know, some tips, when we have a tips class. You can do that. So now let me just, this is a great feature. However, you might want to warn your students. So when you come here and you click on send reminder, it sends a reminder to all of the students in the class. You get something, I don't know if you can see it, my screen might be hiding it. Are you sure you want to send a reminder email to, mine only says 1 student, but it would say 4 students who have not completed the assignment. And when you say okay, they get a reminder that says you have not completed test 1 assignment or class participation assignment. Okay, so again, you'll come here, you're going to send a reminder, and it asks you if you want to send a reminder to the 1 student who does not have a grade or submission. That comes in handy because you might want to do that the day before the assignment is due. That's just another way for students to know that, there's an assignment that they have not completed.
That goes out through our email system?
Yes, whatever they're enrolled in Blackboard with, that email, which is their student email. Yes,
Does it look
Okay.
like it's from the instructor or what?
it comes from the instructor. Yeah. Yep. So I just got an email in my email that is telling me that I need to complete whatever assignment it was.
It comes in handy when you've got like 20 kids and only two people have done the assignment, and it's
I
due,
know,
like,
and it drives you
okay.
crazy. Yep. And they forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Or discussion stuff or whatever it is.
Right. So that's how you create a column. So, you may be creating columns for several things. You may, if you are keeping, maybe you want to keep um, a weekly average of, on your own of class participation or whatever, and you want to add that column saying, this is week 1 participation, here's your grade, so that your students can see it, and you want to, put the feedback in it for them to see. That's a good thing too. All of these, I'm going to tell you that because this is a practice class, all of the columns that are in here are just manually created columns. So they've all been created right here from Create a Column. In your true course, if you create a test and you add in the points, Blackboard will automatically add that column to the grade center because you've added points. Same thing applies to a discussion board. If you put in points, your discussion board column will be created for you in Blackboard automatically. Okay, so if you
So-
think you've added points to it and it doesn't show up in your grade center, go back and make sure that you have added the points.
So you only need to create a column if you didn't already create an assignment. Is that correct?
Something with points, either a test, a discussion board, a journal, a wiki, anything that has points will all automatically be put into the grade center.
I believe there are,
Create a column. Oh, sorry, Joe.
I
Yeah,
just want to say, I believe there's 6 types of gradable things in
Yep.
Blackboard that will show up automatically in your grade center if you add the points, like Sandy said, to those types of items.
yes.
Okay, well, if you create a column and put in like participation grade for everybody, does that generate an email to all the students saying you have a new grade up?
If you make the column yourself, sure, anything that's in a column, yeah.
So
You make this, so this column that I just created was a manually created column, okay? And I just sent it, wait a minute, I sent it out for the test, didn't I? Hang on, let me see what's in my email. I don't remember if I did the, I'll do it again. Class participation, send reminder, and I'll see if I get another email about that. For any column that you have in the grade center, you can send that reminder, yes.
no, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking when do well, when do students automatically receive an email telling them that there is a new grade for them up, or do
Oh,
they?
they don't. No, they don't. It's up to them to check their grades. So that's something you should tell them in the first week, that they should be checking their grades in
I
my
do, but I
grades.
somehow I kind of gathered that they were receiving automatic emails. I don't remember what told me
Yeah,
that, but that's
I
good to
think you're
know.
right, though.
Really?
I think they get an email
The only,
that you're in there or something like that.
I'm not aware of that. Are you, Joe? Do they get an automatic email saying that they, I don't think so.
Well,
There's a lot of
it could be that
In
when
their
you do
course,
something in the grade center, it shows up under the what's
it
new
should,
module
yeah,
in the course home.
yeah, but they don't get an
Could be.
email. I don't believe they
I
get an
don't think
email.
so either, but I'm not totally sure about that.
Well,
Right.
I've had cases where I put in a grade and like in 1 minute I get a student from that.
Yep.
I mean, I get an email from that student. So I think something is going on there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Robert is saying the same thing in the
well,
chat.
that's wonderful. If that's what's happening now, when you get, okay.
But I'm just
That's,
wondering, if you create a column, do they get an email about that? I mean, I'm just wondering.
No, they don't get an email when you create.
no.
They only get an email when, I think that when you put grades in the system, like a test or I guess a weighted grade. I don't know, from what I've experienced.
Okay. So I'm going to have to look into that. I wasn't aware of that. Were you, Joe? I only know that it what's new, maybe a discussion board comes in here, or, they see what's due, but I was not aware that you would get, or students would get an email saying that, they got 100 on a test. And that's great if it does. I'm going to have to check that and see.
Well, it's
I'm not
good and
sure.
it's also not so good because sometimes I'm grading like really early in the morning or really late at night. And I
Yeah.
don't really want to be bothering them with emails at 3 a.m, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, we will
Trying
check
to
that out.
I'm trying to check the default notifications. That are
Okay.
for students.
In other words, I would like to have some control over that. I wonder if there's a
Yeah.
settings thing or whatever. But it happened so
Absolutely.
No.
much that I gathered that was what was going on.
Yeah, you can't control that on a course by course basis, Doll. Sorry.
Yeah. Let me show you one more thing, because I told you, and you can rearrange your grade book, especially if you have a lot of grades. I mean, I like to keep maybe my quizzes together. I like to keep my discussion boards together, and so on. So you saw how I created a column. It went all the way over to the end. It was the last item there. And sometimes the last item I create is the first one I want to grade. So how do I do that? I come over here to manage and I go to column organization, and I can take what I just created and rearrange it and move it all the way up. And I'm doing this manually, but you can also go use, I'll show you. Okay, here's my class participation. I want to leave it there. I just took it and dragged it all the way up to the top. Of course, you have to say submit, and it will be right near, it'll be one of the first items that I need to go in and um, grade, because I wanted it right near the top. Okay.
Wait, what did you select when you went to
I
manage?
went to manage, column organization,
Okay, thank you.
find the item and move it up, just the same way you could do it in a learning content area if you want to rearrange. And then you can rearrange things together. So maybe you want to keep all your tests together, or all your assignments together, or all, essays together. You can do that.
See, I organize it the way it is in the class so that they
Yep.
can see where they're at and any assignments that they've missed and due dates that are gone. So It's
Good.
not all over the place.
But you know, their grade book, their grades look different than the way you have them set up.
Really?
Yeah, they
Interesting.
don't
I didn't
always,
know that.
yeah, they just don't, they don't usually follow along. So yeah, that's
Huh.
something to know, even though you're, you know, make it convenient for yourself because they're going to see it more than likely a different way.
I had no
Um,
idea.
I would love to know more about how they see it. I mean, that was a kind of a problem for me all last semester. And I remember at one point I mentioned something about that in class, and one of my students was smart enough to take a screenshot and send
Okay.
it to me. But I would love to have a class where we look at what they really see.
I think that's a great idea.
Well, the only, I mean,
You each have the capability of that by two things. One, doing student preview like Sandy showed about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that doesn't show what they actually are seeing, though.
no, I was in
It
as a
shows
student.
you every item
Yeah,
they actually see. It
yeah.
doesn't show their grade, correct? Or
I mean, it's not showing the
two,
formatting or whatever.
correct.
Right.
Or two, go into the quote unquote course report. I'm sorry, not the course report, but there's a reports feature in the grade center, and you can get a report for an individual student and see their grades for each item. Now, that does not show every little piece of the My Grades capability for the student, which is they can click on the score and actually see the item that relates to that score. They can click on the blob, which they find their comments in, etc. So it's pretty hard for us to show that dynamically unless we literally set up, you know, a dummy student and go through that in a dummy student type of way,
Yeah.
in the course of a course.
That
So
could be
while we're
really
here,
helpful.
go ahead, go ahead. While we're here, let me just quickly, because one of the benefits for you is to create a report. I do this all the time. And I don't know if you are aware that there are submission receipts when students submit an assignment, a test, a grade, whatever. You can come here and you will see, I don't think I have any in here for this class. In my own class I do, but you'll see a list of submission receipts from students. They get a submission receipt in their email. They get that sent to them. I wonder if maybe that's what you were referring to. So if they, I don't know, but they get a, if they're taking a test and they submit their test, they will get a submission receipt. And that's their way of knowing that they did submit that assignment. I don't know if you knew that. But let's quickly talk about reports. So you can create a report for your students, and I do this individually. You can create a report for the entire class, or you can choose the student to create the report for. So if I have a student that's failing and I'm going to meet with them, what I'll do is go into my class, create a report. What you do is you select the student's name, and you come down here. I would leave all columns. Maybe you just want to pick out particular columns by category. So maybe you want to create a report for all tests, but I leave the columns. I just leave it the way it is for the way the gradebook is set up. And when you click on submit, you'll get the report. I can't do that right here. Let me see if I can even create my own so I can show you what it looks like. And then I just do a preview. Let's see what comes up. And I think there's nothing in there, so I can, let's see. And so I have that handy for my student if the student is missing several assignments. And unfortunately, it's not picking up anything because I don't have any assignments in there. But that's how you would create a report. Okay. And the report will show them the assignment. If it has the hyphens in it, it means they did not complete it, or you don't have a grade for them there.
Would you name it just as the name of the student?
Yeah, I name,
Don't you-
so I would say, Jason. Okay, so here's Jason. I come down, I choose, and you could do this for all users at a time, but believe me, you just want to select one user at a time. Find that student. I would leave everything as it is. And then I click on preview, and then I print it out if I need to. So I know exactly when I sit down with that student, I can tell them exactly what grades they don't have. Annie Laurie, you could do this by class. If you do the entire class, you can choose all students instead of picking, where's my student? You can choose all users. And you can show grades for all your students. It makes for a pretty big report, but you could do it that way. I rather would go into the Grade Center and just do the statistics for
Okay.
those items. You know, you don't want all that, but this is really handy when you're going to meet with a student. And you know, you need to create a report. Let me see, what else did I want to show you real quick? Because I know we're at the end. I was going to make you aware we have a Padlet. I'm going to stop this share and then share again. Hopefully this is up on my screen. And if it isn't, I'll just have to share it. This is a Padlet that we did in the summer when we were doing some training. There are a couple of things I'd like to point out to you, and I'm going to put, I'll put it in the chat. There's a lot of information here. Let me move this. Yikes, I have a lot on my screen. Okay, I just put in the chat. Oh, I wanted to go to everyone, not Joe. This is a Padlet that we use. There's information about discussion boards, etc. But I want to point out a few things, and you can download these. Right here in the center of the page is a quick start training. That's a training that was created way back, almost a year ago when we went on to COVID. There's a section on Grade Center that you can go through. There are some videos in there as well. There's a nice document here. If you just click on download, you can download this, open it up and download a Grade Center reference guide with a lot of information about the different items that are in the Grade Center. What else do I have on this page? I wanted to show you this one because it had, it's a quick start if you don't have it already. And there was a whole section on Blackboard Grade Center navigation, so that may help you out. And what else did I have? Those, I mean, there's so much more. When in doubt, always go to the, I think Joe's putting something else in there in the chat for you. Thanks, Joe. I tell you, this bar gets in my way. There's a lot of information in there. So has this answered or given you any ideas, or have I covered anything that you wanted to know about today?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know that we are always in the drop-in clinic Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 3:30. Stop in anytime, even if, I mean, it doesn't have to be for anything big. It could be just one question. Oh, where did you say I could, you know, find, I don't know, feedback, or look at feedback. And, you know, we're there to help you. If you at any time would like a one-on-one session with anything about the Grade Center, please don't hesitate to ask us, and please continue to use Grade Center because it is very valuable. It's valuable to you, valuable to your students. As you get started using it, you'll find so many other uses for it. So either make your own columns, create your own columns, or be sure to add points to any items that you have created. And we'll be doing another session on weighting grades. That's, part
Oh,
2 of
okay.
Grade Center. So get using this, and we can probably stick that in if we're looking for more sessions. Sarah, I don't know if you're still here. In March, we'll do a part 2, and that'll be strictly with weighting columns. So
Okay.
just keep all your grades in that Grade Center, and then we can, we can do whatever you want
Convert.
to do with them going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, I am going to end the recording right here.